Six figures. My entire savings. Most people assume that kind of betrayal comes from strangers on the internet. A fake investment guru. A sketchy email. Some guy in a hoodie promising impossible returns. Mine came from the man who gave the toast at my wedding. The man who held my spare key for 10 years. The man my mother called her second son. My name is Lucas Reed. For most of my life, I believed two things: that hard work pays off, and that you don't screw over your friends. The first belief is still mostly true. The second one turned out to be optional in Jake Morrison's world. This is the story of how my best friend scammed me out of $100,000, and how I turned his entire network, every investor, every contact, every person he thought would always back him, against him without raising my voice or throwing a single punch. It starts with the sentence that should have been my first red flag. Trust me, man. I'd never screw you over. I met Jake when we were 12. He was the loud kid with the good sneakers and the bad report cards. I was the quiet kid who did his homework and occasionally did his friends' homework too. We grew up in the same suburb, went to the same high school, played on the same busted basketball court behind the supermarket. He called us brothers. I called him family. Where I was cautious, he was fearless. Where I made plans, he made moves. After college, our paths split. I went into project management at a mid-size agency. Spreadsheets, deadlines, clients who wanted everything yesterday. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. Jake did a little of everything. Door-to-door sales, crypto trading, some startup that sold mindset coaching and died 6 months later. Every time I saw him, he had a new story, a new idea, a new scheme that was about to blow up. And honestly, part of me envied him. I had a salary, health insurance, and a growing savings account. He had freedom, chaos, and a highlight reel. Then came the big one. We were sitting in a bar on a rainy Thursday night. I just told him I was thinking about finally buying a small apartment. He grinned. "Lucas, you're too smart to keep parking your money in some boring savings account," he said. "Let me show you something." He pulled out his phone and scrolled through what looked like a dashboard from a movie. "Last year I helped a handful of guys double their money in 12 months, he said. Small local businesses, social media marketing, a couple of Airbnb flips. Nothing illegal, just smarter than letting the bank eat your lunch." "Good for them," I said. "But I'm not trying to double anything. I just don't want to die renting." "That's exactly why you should invest," he said. "Look, I'm putting together a fund. Friends only. We pool capital, I handle the deals, we split profits. You in?" I hesitated. "How much?" He didn't blink. "Minimum buy-in is 50 grand, but for you, we can start with 25, brothers discount." $25,000. More than I'd ever moved in one go in my life. "Let me think about it," I said. He leaned in. "Lucas, when have I ever not come through for you?" That was the thing about Jake. He had receipts. He was the guy who picked me up at 3 a.m. when my car died in college. The guy who showed up with food when my dad was in the hospital. The guy who once loaned me money for rent when a freelance check was late and refused to let me pay interest. I told myself, he's earned some trust. 2 weeks later, I wired him $50,000. Because when I sat down and really looked at my accounts, I realized I could. Years of saying no to stupid purchases had built a cushion. Think of it as short-term pain, long-term gain, I told myself. Jake sent over a simple agreement. He was managing partner, I was a limited investor, profits would be distributed quarterly. It looked legit enough. He even got a lawyer friend to sign as witness. Over the next 6 months, he kept me updated. "We just closed on a duplex," he texted. "Refurb and flip. Should clear us a nice chunk." "Running a campaign for a local gym," he said in a voice note. "Memberships are spiking. I'll send you the numbers." He even sent me screenshots, revenue graphs, invoices, a spreadsheet with my name on it and an arrow going up. I started to relax. I started to brag quietly, just a little to myself. Maybe I'd finally done something bold. So when he came back and said, "Look, we've got an opportunity to scale. If you can come in with another 50, we can get you to six-figure profit in under 2 years." My stomach still clenched, but my head rationalized it. "You'll never move if you never risk," I told myself. I wired another $50,000, $100,000. 10 years of saying no to things. Transferred with a few taps and a code to the boy I'd once shared a locker with. 3 months after that, the updates slowed. Then they stopped. "Hey man, how's the fund doing?" I texted. "Crazy busy, we'll send an update this weekend," he replied. Weekend came. Nothing. I called. No answer. I tried again. Straight to voicemail. At first, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. People get busy, life happens. Then I saw something that burned away every excuse. A mutual friend posted a photo on Instagram. Jake, in front of a rented Lamborghini, holding a bottle of champagne like a prop. Caption: "My guy out here killing it. Big money only." I zoomed in. His watch alone could have paid my rent for a year. Something in my chest went cold. I texted him again. "We need to talk. Now." He replied an hour later. "Bro, chill. Why are you blowing up my phone?" "Because I put $100,000 into your fund, and I haven't seen a single document in months," I wrote. "Send me full statements. Today." 3 dots flashed, then disappeared, then flashed again. Finally, we're in a growth phase. It's all tied up right now. If I liquidate early, we all lose. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. Funny how people always say that when they've done something guaranteed to make you furious. I called him. He didn't pick up. That night, I opened my laptop and did what I should have done before wiring a single cent. I searched every business registry I could find, looked up every LLC name he'd mentioned, checked property records for the duplex he supposedly owned. The fund didn't exist as a legal entity. The duplex was owned by a company that had never heard of him. The only hitting result I got was a small marketing agency in his name, with multiple negative reviews from clients complaining about unfulfilled services and disappearing deliverables. My best friend wasn't running a clever little investment collective. He was running a one-man scam. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was crying or punching walls, because I was making lists, names, numbers, connections. Jake liked to brag about his network, his mentors, his investors, his inner circle. Most people just nodded and scrolled on. I started mapping them. By morning, I had a plan. It didn't involve calling the police. Not yet. It didn't involve meeting him in a parking lot. That might have felt good, but it wouldn't get my money back. If Jake's power was his network, then my revenge would be simple. I'd unplug him from it, one thread at a time. First, I needed proof. Real proof. Not just, "My friend says he invested and got nothing." I went back through every message, every email, every voice note. I pulled bank statements showing the wires with his name on the receiving end. I saved screenshots of his fund updates, his spreadsheets, his promises of returns. And then I looked at the people he'd bragged about working with. The gym owner, the duplex guy, the local cafe he claimed to have scaled. I started making calls, not as angry investor, but as potential client. "Hey, saw the campaign Jake ran for you," I'd say. "Thinking about working with him. How was your experience?" The responses ranged from "who" to "he ghosted us after we paid" to "if you find him, tell him I want my deposit back." Pattern confirmed. I wasn't the only one he'd hit. I was just the one he'd hit hardest because he knew I'd take longer to suspect him. After 2 weeks of quiet research, I had a folder called Project Mirror. Because my goal was simple. I wanted everyone in his world to see the reflection he'd been hiding from them. I started with the people he respected most, the mentors he was always name-dropping, the ones with real businesses, real reputations. I sent them concise, calm emails. Hi, we've never met, but my name is Lucas Reed. I believe you know Jake Morrison. I invested $100,000 into an informal fund he pitched as managed by him. I have attached documentation showing transfers, written promises, and failure to deliver any reports or returns. I understand he often associates his name with your brand. Before I escalate this legally, I wanted you to be aware of the pattern, in case he's using your credibility to support it. No threats, no capital letters, just facts. Within days, I started getting responses. Some were short. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. One was longer. Lucas, I suspected something was off with Jake, but didn't have concrete proof. If what you're saying is accurate, he's misrepresented our relationship. Please keep me CC'd on any further action. Next, I went to the people who thought he was their friend. Mutual acquaintances, the guys from the basketball court, the women he'd convinced to let him help with branding. I didn't post on social media. That becomes drama, easy to dismiss. Instead, I hosted a small catch-up night at a bar, invited a handful of them, told them I wanted to talk about something important. They came expecting gossip. They left with printouts. I laid it all out. The wires, the fake deals, the non-existent fund, the consistent pattern of taking money up front and vaporizing afterward. At first, there was denial. But he helped me move last month. He sent me clients. He loaned me money once. Scammers rarely scam everyone. They act generous to some to build cover. Then, someone said quietly, "He owes me $10,000. Another, "He took $3,000 from my cousin for a content package and never delivered." By the end of the night, I had a list of 12 people who'd lost money or been lied to. "I'm hiring a lawyer," I said. "I'm not asking you to join anything. But if you want your experience documented, now's the time." Every single one of them agreed. Suddenly, Jake's network wasn't people he could lean on. It was witnesses. When the lawyer sent the first formal demand letter, Jake finally called me. "Lucas, what the hell are you doing?" he yelled. "You're killing my reputation." "No," I said. "You did that. I'm just mailing the obituary." "You think anyone's going to side with you over me?" He scoffed. "Everyone knows you're risk-averse. They know you panic. You're making drama out of a cash flow issue." "I talked to them," I said. "All of them. The ones you brag about, the ones you owe, the ones you forgot you screwed because the amounts were too small to matter. Turns out they care a lot." Silence. "Bro," he tried finally. "We can work this out. Don't burn the bridge." "There is no bridge," I said. "You sold it for parts." The legal process was slow, as it always is. But the social process? That was fast. He started getting uninvited from things. Mentors stopped replying to his emails. Clients backed out. The gym replaced his logo on their partner wall. The cafe owner posted a carefully worded statement about ending all collaboration with Jake Morrison and Company. He tried to spin it as haters mad at his success. But it's hard to sell success when every person you point to as proof quietly says, "Actually, he still owes me money." Under pressure, and facing a potential civil suit backed by multiple complainants, Jake did what he always does when cornered. He tried another trick. He called my mother. He told her I was ruining his life over a miscommunication, that if I didn't stop, he'd have to declare bankruptcy, and we'd all lose everything. She called me in tears. "Lucas, he's like family," she said. "Isn't there another way?" There was a version of me years ago who would have caved at that, who would have put peace above fairness, who would have said, Fine, keep the money, just leave me alone. That version of me was gone. Mom, I said, gently, family doesn't do what he did. Real family doesn't use your compassion as a weapon. He's counting on you feeling sorry for him, so he doesn't have to feel sorry for what he did. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Okay, do what you have to do." In the end, we didn't get all of it back, but we got enough. Between pressure from his mentors, fear of a lawsuit he couldn't afford, and the slow death of his reputation, Jake agreed to a settlement. He sold his car, liquidated some crypto he'd bragged about, took a loan from the one relative who still believed his version of events. He wired me $65,000. The remaining $35,000? Consider it the price I paid to learn that loyalty without boundaries is just a discount sign for parasites. Today, Jake's network looks very different. He still has people, I'm sure. There's always someone new who doesn't know the story yet. Scammers don't disappear. They relocate. But the people who mattered, the ones whose names he loved to drop like confetti, won't take his calls anymore. He once told me, "Your net worth is your network." He was right. He just didn't understand that reputation is part of that balance sheet. As for me, I moved on. I rebuilt the savings, slower this time, more intentionally. I stopped treating being the reliable friend as a personality trait and started treating it as something that deserved reciprocity. Sometimes I still see Jake's name pop up on a tagged photo or a random post. Sometimes people still message me saying, "Hey, thinking of working with this guy? Any thoughts?" I send them a single PDF, Project Mirror, redacted, clean, professional, no commentary, no rage, just the reflection. They read it, and almost every time they reply with the same 4 words. "Thanks. That's enough for me." That's the thing about turning someone's network against them. You don't have to shout. You don't have to lie. You just have to hold up the mirror long enough for everyone else to see what you finally allowed yourself to see. And once they do, the scam ends itself.